Hello, Awesome Soul here, and welcome back to more Robocraft news. This time, we are going to be covering the live stream that happened back on Friday. And this live stream has given us a lot of very juicy information that we did not know before. And on top of that, it also gives us what we will be getting in the next update on the upcoming Thursday. Or at least, I assume it's going to be Thursday because they always drop on a Thursday. Unless they have problems with coding or whatever and they need to fix a few bugs. But yes, we should get a proper release date sometime soon-ish. But for now, we can go off of the teaser information in this video. But before I get into what's going to be in the next update, I will go through what was revealed in order in the live stream. And the way I normally do these is I read out the time code. So if you would like to go back and watch the live stream for yourself, you can go to that time code and then you can hear it from their mouths instead. With that little intro out of the way, we can go ahead and dive in to the news. And that doesn't happen until a little later in the live stream. And that's because the first half was taken up by the art bot competition. They were just reviewing people's bots. So the first bit of news starts around the 44-minute and 35-second mark. Possibly a little earlier than that. And this bit is very interesting because we have never had any word on this before. And I quote, "We have to come out of early access in July." And that presumably means they're going to be in full release, because if you somehow don't know, the game currently is classified as beta, and its beta phase has been fairly short, especially compared to its alpha phase, which was like 3.5 years. A little long for an alpha, but regardless, it's good news to have. Now, we don't exactly know if this is July the 1st, they are forced out of early access by Steam, or is this like a personal, we want to be out of early access by Steam? But remember, they did say they have to come out of. So chances are it probably has something to do with Steam's early access policy. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And the other thing I don't know is, like I said earlier, is this July 1st? Or is this like mid-July or the end of July? Because in keeping with their schedule that they're trying to do as far as updates go, as in every other week there's an update. So what this could possibly mean is that June 15th is going to be the next update. June 29th is then the next update after that. And then on July the 6th, is that going to be out of early access and into full release? Is that the full release update? Or is that going to be July 20th? It could really only be those 2 days if they want to keep with the schedule, because the next Thursday after that is August the 3rd, which, as you know, is definitely not July. So to reiterate, we could possibly see the game coming into its full release early July, or sort of mid-late July. Or they could just simply throw a curveball and drop the update whenever the heck they feel like it, and not keep with their schedule. But I think that's enough speculation on that part. At least I found that to be a little bit interesting. Hopefully you found that to be somewhat interesting as well. Onward to the next one, and that happens at around the 49-minute mark. So here they respond to somebody in the chat, and they say they want to add older game modes and maps into custom games. Now, I won't go into any more detail because this is actually covered later on, near the end of the live stream. And it's some very good news. I won't spoil it for you. Very soon after that, at the 49-minute mark and 20 seconds, they were asked if you could customize each gun's stats in custom games. So basically, if you wanted to make the plasma deal a crap ton of damage, but have an insanely high power cost, or the rails have super low damage and incredible fire rate, but they also don't cost a whole lot of power. You could sort of tweak things like that individually. And they respond with, they'd like to, but they are not sure if that's planned currently. Mark, the game director, would know know the answer to that question. But unfortunately, he wasn't on during that stream, though he does appear in live streams from time to time. So if you are watching whoever asked this question, or I guess anyone else, if you see Mark in one of the upcoming live streams, I guess go ahead and ask that question again. This is something that I feel personally is definitely needed as far as custom games go. Maybe not super soon, but eventually down the line, maybe in Mark 3 or after Mark 3. Possibly something like that, because I'm sure this would be fairly complex to achieve. Or maybe not, I don't know. Because they have sort of done something like this before in what I believe was called the Shipwrecked event, and that's where they completely changed the plasma weapon and made it fire cannonballs, but these cannonballs also had a heavier arc. So that means they were affected by gravity a lot more, among other things. So there is a precedent for changing individual weapon stats. So this is definitely a possibility. Not confirmed though. A while after that, at the 1 hour, 12 minute mark and 15 seconds, the age-old question. The one that's been around since pretty much Robocraft's inception. And that is, will there ever be water maps and water movement parts, i.e. submarines and boats, etc., etc.? And the answer that we have is no plans. So there are 0 plans, at least at the moment, for anything of the sort. And in all honesty, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't think we need anything like that. It's cool and all, I guess, but very unnecessary. Now, we come to the extra juicy information, and that is what we will be seeing in next week's update, which again, based on their update schedule, I assume to be on Thursday, the 15th of June. The first bit of this update is that we are finally getting pit mode into custom games. If you don't know what the pit is, think of it like a free-for-all with a twist. So when you get a kill, you will get points added to your bounty. And the more kills you get, the higher your bounty will get, up to a stack of 6, I believe? No, it's 5 for the maximum stack, plus 1 if you're in first place. So yes, technically still the max is 6. Unless I'm misremembering something, but I don't believe so. So it sort of becomes a really hectic, almost kill-steal mode, where the point is to try and steal a kill out from under somebody else. Now, interestingly enough, I believe off the top of my head it was discussed that pit mode, one of the optional sliders for that, was to actually turn off the bounty points. So therefore you could have a proper, very straightforward free-for-all. The next is something that I'm pretty sure I discussed in the last video, or at least discussed me wanting this feature really, really badly. And that is all of the old maps for every mode except for Battle Arena will be returning. Obviously, they're not coming back for Battle Arena because they would need to add all of the capture points and the reactors into the map, as well as the crystal. So that would take a little bit more coding. Hopefully we will actually get those maps in at some point. But still though, that's really good because we get them for deathmatch, we get them for elimination, and we get them for pit. Now in the live stream, they did specifically say all the old maps, but I am a little bit concerned, just because there have been a lot of maps and a lot of evolutions of these maps, I guess we can say. So will we be getting the super old classic maps, like way back from the very inception of Robocraft? Like how far back are we going here when they say all maps? And are we also going to be getting the holiday variant maps? So the ones where there are pumpkins scattered about, ones where there are Easter eggs scattered about, and the biggest one for me is the Holiday Helion Impact Crater, the one where there is a giant Christmas tree in the middle, all the way up to the very top of the skybox, possibly even taller than the skybox, I can't remember. No, I think it is inside the skybox, but the ceiling height is lower than that of the actual tree. So yeah, it's a really massive Christmas tree. What could also be kind of cool is if they take the basic layout of that map and switch it over for a non-holiday type thing. So instead of having the giant tree there, replace it with a giant communications tower, but it's pretty much in the exact same shape as the Christmas tree. Anyway, I talked a little earlier when I was discussing Pit about sliders. These are settings for custom games, so you can toggle certain things on and off. And we will indeed be getting some game sliders and settings in the next update. So this is kind of what they discussed earlier. They're splitting up Mark II in half. So they're giving us some of the settings now, and then some more of the settings later on, which I'm all for, just because we don't have to wait any longer. We get half, or maybe not half. I'm not quite sure how they've divided these up. But regardless, some settings are better than no settings at all. And last but not least, we have something that was very unexpected for me. I did not see this coming at all, because I thought they were, for the most part, in a really good spot. And that is, of course, the module rework, as I'm sure you saw by the title. So this isn't a super massive rework on the scale of the wheels. It's more of a smaller, I guess we could say, soft rework. And what they're planning to do is all modules except for Blink will have their CPU usage lowered. And all modules except for Ghost will now use no energy. And that's really all the information we've been given. We don't know how low they're going. And it is fairly interesting to note that they said the Blink module is not lowering its CPU. And the Blink module, if I remember correctly, has the lowest CPU of all modules except for the window maker. So are we going to be seeing minor CPU reductions to give it sort of a similar CPU ranking as the Blink module? Maybe around the 250-ish mark, give or take a few CPU? Or is everything going to be lowered drastically down to the levels of the window maker? But if that's the case, why isn't Blink getting lowered? Because I mean, this would be a massive nerf for Blink if it's staying there, and it's already been massively nerfed due to its fairly recent cooldown increase. The other thing here, since Ghost is the only module that now uses power, hopefully its power usage will be lowered considerably, just to keep it fairly viable with the other modules, because coming in and out, it still does have a cooldown to it. Now, like I said, we don't have any more information other than that. But the other thing I do need to bring up is they did talk about possibly selling your modules now because the CPU is going to be lowered and therefore the price is also going to be lowered. That's a very interesting point to bring up. It sort of hints at the fact that they're lowering the CPU by quite a bit, because as you know, recycling it is not going to give you as much as if you were to buy it. So is it really that substantial of a drop for him to actually bring this point up? I'm not really sure. Personally, I would hold on to your modules until we get some more information on the Robocraft site, which of course I will be covering once it's out. Anyways, guys, I will go ahead and wrap up the video. Comment down below on pretty much anything in this video. I always like to hear your feedback on things. With that, I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.